I am happy to state that the disagreement between the Prime Minister and myself has been resolved, and the crisis is now over.
November 20, 1929, when he was only 25 years old, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe wrote, and I quote, "Life torments me in derision, how it flickers like a torch, flagellating in precision, chaining me in gripping clutch. Life betrays my firm conviction, how my pride puerile I yield. Hearts may burn in predilection, yet they scream the open field. Dready days my hope o'ershadows, how the clouds hang low and all. Now my soul it dowls and bellows, followed by a soothing lull. Life belabors my devotion, how it rends my honesty, yet I face this stern commotion with an air of amnesty. Life torments me in derision, how it flickers at a flash, but it takes a wise decision to escape its furious lash."
By the time he wrote this poem, Dr. Zik, who would later become the first indigenous president of an independent Nigeria in the west of Africa, was already an undergraduate, doing odd jobs as a dishwasher, coal miner, steward, boxer, and even laborer, all this in the United States of America. Benjamin Nnamdi Azikiwe, fondly called Zik, was born on November 16, 1904, in Zungeru in the present Niger State of Nigeria, formerly capital of northern Nigeria. He was born in a conical-shaped hut. His father, Obed Edom, was an Igbo man from Uwabo village in Onitsha, in eastern Nigeria. He was serving as a clerk in the Nigerian regiment. His mother, Rachel Chinwe Azikiwe, was also an Igbo from Oboleke village. The name Nnamdi in the Igbo language means "my father is alive, my father is there." Zik began his elementary school at the Church Missionary Society, CMS Central School in Onitsha in 1911.
Sometime at the end of the 1916 year class, when he was at the Wesleyan Boys High School, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe received a special prize for coming first in his class. The prize was presented to him by Lord Lugard on the school's prize-giving day at the Glover Memorial Hall early in 1917.
Between 1915 and 1918, he attended Methodist High School, Lagos. In 1919, he became a pupil teacher at St. Jude's CMS Central School, Orifite, and between January and March, he was a pupil teacher in CMS Central School, Onitsha. Between April 1920 and September 1921, he was at Hope Waddell Training Institute, Calabar, and the Methodist Boys High School, Lagos, for further education.
Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, at the impressionable age of 16, was inspired by Dr. James Emmanuel Kweji Ajre. This was during the course of a lecture that Dr. Ajre delivered in 1924 at Tinubu Methodist Church in Lagos. During the course of this lecture, Dr. Ajre urged Africans to reorientate their values, to abandon the wilderness of Western materialism, and to make a sense of themselves and their situations. He also asserted that nothing but the very best was good for Africa. Dr. Azikiwe said, and I quote, "If I, one of you, can go to the new world and make a man of myself, then you can too," quote and unquote. Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe was reportedly electrified. It dawned on him that life had a meaning and that he had a mission to fulfill. His task, therefore, was to make life worthwhile for his fellow men and to be a friend to struggling humanity.
After a brief civil service career as a third-class clerk in the Treasury Office in Lagos, that was between 1921 and 1924, Zik attempted to store away in a ship bound for the United States of America. That is, he attempted to smuggle himself to the United States. This is the smuggling story.
Some other persons, anxious to go overseas for further studies like me, have made contacts with sellers on our proposals to stay away from the country. The sellers asked us to pay them 30 naira and that we would work in the ship where they took us to our destination. We contributed money and made up the sum, but some persons who had hoped to travel with us stopped for fear that they might die in transit. 3 of us boarded the Royal Mail steamship RMS Apam at Lagos in 1924. Those who boarded the ship with me included Sidney Brown, a post and telegraph linesman who wanted to become an engineer, and John Ayaso, a printer. I was the youngest of the 3. Sidney fell sick and was vomiting. He wanted to disembark, but I persuaded him to go on. The seller had advised us to throw Sidney overboard at night, but we refused. When we arrived at the Gold Coast, Sidney Brown could no longer continue. He suggested that we should approach the seller to whom we paid money for a partial refund since he could not longer continue. The seller got furious and said, "Wetin dey make una black people stupid? We are too sentimental. Why you no heave the bug overboard last night? I told you that. Now you say you give me money. What money you give me? I no sabi you before. If you talk again, I go tell Posa say you be store away." We begged the seller, and later we were taken out from the ship through a soft boat and we alighted with other passengers a second day. But we did not know anyone there. That was in 1924. As we bought and ate a full corn mosa made of grated bananas and ground corn at the secondary market, a man who had us discussing in Igbo accosted us. He asked us what we had come to do in secondary. He introduced himself as David Okereke from Omoji in the eastern region. He told us he was a cook to the general manager of Gold Coast Railways. He took us to his home and I later took up a job. I joined the police force and was sent to Accra for training. My parents did not know my whereabouts. They did not know I had left Lagos trying to start away to overseas. I then wrote my father that I had joined the police in my attempt to educate myself. Following my letter, my father sent my mother to trace me in secondary from where she was referred to Accra. When my mother met me, she cried and regretted that I had joined the police force. She told me that my father wanted me home, and the Inspector General therefore discharged me. I surrendered 2 black boots, black tonics, cap, putties, and other items to the quartermaster. At home, my father, then a first-class clerk, who wished to assist my determination to travel overseas, decided to retire from service, claim his gratuity of 1 year salary, add some money to it to enable me travel to the United States of America. In 1925, I arrived in America.
Actually, Dr. Zik, before he joined the police force at Ghana, had to work briefly for a week as a laborer cutting trees required to make timber for the railway. After a week had gone, his hands were so sore that he swore never to work as a laborer again. Well, in the United States, Zik worked as a laborer, coal miner, dishwasher, library assistant, and did other menial jobs in order to pay his way through higher studies. He was also a boxer and played American soccer. He covered happenings in Harvard University as a correspondent to 4 or 5 newspapers. Dr. Zik enrolled in Stora College, Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, but soon transferred to Lincoln University, where he remained until 1927 and studied anthropology. Subsequently, he went to Hawaii University in Washington, D.C.